This is the largest cave chamber in North America, and it's full of the world's most amazing speleothems. It's the famous Big Room here at Carlsbad Caverns National Park in New Mexico. And today, we'll tell you the very unique story of how this cave formed from the rocky remains of an ancient sea in the bath of potent sulfuric acid.
Yeah, it took a bit of geologic luck to create this subterranean wonder, and we'll show you the beautiful cave features in the underground passageways here at one of the most well-preserved fossilized reefs in the world, one you can visit from the inside. And we'll take you along on our journey deep underground to explore it on 9 Worlds. Carlsbad Caverns National Park is located in the Guadalupe Mountains, where there are more than 300 caves, many of which demonstrate large rooms that are the product of a very unusual method of dissolution. The process by which these caves formed underground and then opened to the world helped create the conditions that led to the most spectacular cave decorations, arguably among the best in the world. But to understand why these are so special, we'll start our journey into the cave above ground and back in time.
Now we're starting the hike up to, into the cave. It's going to be very fun, very dark. Let's get started and figure out what an ancient ocean coral reef has to do with this cave. Come on, let's do it. Let's go. Like other caves we discussed here on 9 Worlds, Carlsbad Caverns is made of limestone.
While above the caves, you currently find a dry Chihuahuan desert landscape. About 250 million years ago, during the Permian period, the area we know as Carlsbad Caverns was on the coast of an inland sea.
Why is there always an ancient sea in these stories?
This sea had a rich diversity of marine life, and there was a reef that grew along this coast, one made not of coral, but rather mostly algae and sponges.
This reef eventually dried up at the end of the Permian period and was buried, uplifted, and shaped by erosion to form the Guadalupe Mountains.
These reef deposits are now the rock formation we call the Capitan limestone. And most of the caves in this area are found in this soluble rock, which is key to how the caves formed.
Most of our impressive national park caves, like Kentucky's Mammoth Cave, formed from the top down.
Carbon dioxide in our air reacts with surface water to form a weak carbonic acid. This acid then slowly percolates through the limestone rock, dissolving it over time and creating the caves, sinkholes, and underground rivers along the way, like those you see at Mammoth Cave. This is the classic type of karst cave called an epigenic cave. However, the caves here at Carlsbad Caverns are different. They are hypogenic.
Instead of water coming from the top, it bubbled up from below.
Because in addition to being a magnificent geological treasure, the Permian Basin is also the largest petroleum-producing basin in the entire United States. And it is because of that petroleum that we have these huge open caves. The petroleum reservoirs existed deep under the Capitan limestone. Now, sometime around 7 to 12 million years ago, the hydrogen sulfide from these reservoirs began migrating up through the fractures in the limestone. When this hydrogen sulfide mixed with the oxygen in the groundwater moving down from the surface, it created a super powerful sulfuric acid.
The kind of stuff you find in explosives and automobile batteries.
This acid, along with microbial life that helped move things along, aggressively ate away along the cracks and faults in the limestone at the level of the water table. Now, as the Guadalupe Mountains continued to be uplifted little by little over time, the level of the water table dropped in relation to the surface, and that toxic acid bath drained away, leaving behind the caves we visit today. But that's not all that got left behind. The mineral gypsum is a byproduct of this reaction between sulfuric acid and limestone, and you find lots of it here. For example, you can see massive gypsum blocks in the big room past the bottomless pit.
All this is fascinating, and none of it created most of the beautiful cave decorations that we all love to visit. So how did that happen?
Well, the speleothems that decorate this beautiful cave didn't start developing until after that acid bath that created the cave drained away, and then the natural entrance formed as a result of erosion and the collapse of the hillside above the cavern. It's this entrance that many tourists use when they enter the caves today.
We're at the Bat Amphitheater, which is at the top of the natural cave entrance. So there's 2 ways you can enter the cave. One is through an elevator, and the second is through this natural entrance.
Cool. This entrance and the other similar gaps are really important to the development of the beautiful features in this cave. These openings allow surface air into the cave.
And as rainwater and snowmelt percolate down into the cavern, it picks up carbon dioxide from the air and soil to form a carbonic acid. Now, this weak acid dissolves some of that limestone it passes through as it percolates down. Then this water, full of absorbed gases and dissolved minerals, arrives in the cave, often as small droplets. There, the water evaporates and releases carbon dioxide into the air-filled space while leaving behind the small amount of minerals it carried along on its journey, typically as calcite.
Slower droplets tend to stay on the ceiling and create stuff like stalactites and soda straws.
Faster drips can make it to the floor to create features like totem poles and stalagmites. And you can see all of these features and more inside Carlsbad Caverns, and especially the highly decorated, world-famous Big Room.
For example, the Chinese theater in the Big Room is made up of stalactites hanging from the ceiling, stalagmites rising from the ground, and columns that form when stalactites and stalagmites meet.
The Dolls Theater is full of delicate soda straws.
Temple of the Sun, which is a column beautifully decorated all around with hundreds of stalactites.
And the Totem Pole, a formation formed by a single drip of water dripping in the exact same spot for many, many years.
As you walk between these marked features on your trail, you'll see many other decorations like the flowing sheet-like draperies, formed by water dripping down a slope, or the small clusters of cave popcorn.
So once the cavern was open to the air, the cave basically decorated itself with all these beautiful features. But if you visited the cave, you know it's a pretty dry place. Few speleothems inside any of the caves in this area are wet and actively decorating. So this is because the caves are now in a desert. Most of the speleothems inside Carlsbad formed during the last ice age, around 10,000 years ago, when this area had much, much more rain than it gets today. This also means it's important to be extra careful in these caves. These features are delicate, and if they break, they won't reform anytime soon, since the cave right now is fairly inactive, and growth of these features takes eons.
Carlsbad Caverns is pretty amazing, right, Kai? So we just came out of our cave tour.
We got this.
Yeah, we
Thank
got
you.
that. We've been to Mammoth, we've been to Wind Cave, we've been to other caves and caverns, but I get it now why everybody says Carlsbad is a special place. So
It is. It looks like there's just stone crystals all over the place. Just like it looks like a maze. It just looks amazing. It looks amazing.
amazing. Yep, for sure. It was great being here. It was great getting to share it with you. Hope to see you on some of our other adventures. So long.
I think amazing is my favorite word I've used so far in this entire video series.